So let's just begin then with this electric bus that the company has launched, EKA E9. I understand that it's stylish as well as sturdy. Tell us a little bit more about the capacity. What are the markets as well that you're targeting for this?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for this opportunity. We are really at the threshold of what is going to be an amazing revolution on electric vehicles in India. To set the perspective, the market has been shifting to electric, and especially for commercial vehicles, buses, and light commercial vehicles, this shift will be even faster. Our EKA bus is made in India. It's fully designed in India. It's fully manufactured in India. It's tested in India for the last 1.5 years. We now have all the requisite homologations, and soon we'll be starting production at our facility at Pithampur in Madhya Pradesh.
Okay, that sounds fairly exciting. Give us a sense as well then how India stands when it comes to making India really a global manufacturing hub. Do you see that, as you said, that the bus has been completely manufactured in the country, that there has been a lot of headway as well been given by the government, and that the landscape looks fairly promising?
Absolutely. Let me start with the big picture. EVs and the automotive industry overall is the largest manufacturing sector in the country. It accounts for almost 45% of manufacturing industry. And the change that we are now seeing is actually the single biggest shift in manufacturing to be seen in the last, I would say, almost 100 years. What it basically means is that 30 to 50% of the automotive industry will move to electric vehicles. Just to give you a perspective, this year already, by the number of vehicle tenders floated in India, we will become larger than the European market. So that's the size of the transition which is taking place. We will surpass Europe this year. So just Europe will manufacture about 4,000 electric buses. Already this year in India, there are tenders out for about 10,000 electric buses, which have to be produced in the next couple of years. So that's really a very big change which is taking place in our country.
So I just wanted to understand then, from the company's standpoint, are there any supply chain issues that you're currently facing, and how is the company dealing with that?
Sure. For any industry which undergoes a change of this magnitude, obviously there will be challenges. The big challenge is for the supply chain industry really to catch up in numbers terms. If you see, this is a big shift from the conventional ICE vehicles, which typically had a lot of mechanical parts. In the case of EVs, there is as much software involved, there is as much electronics involved, and of course, then you have the battery pack, which constitutes the single largest element of the cost per electric vehicle. In the case of the Indian market, for mechanical components, we have a very mature ecosystem. For electrical components, this is only now evolving because the numbers are only starting to come in now, and the component industry is now gearing up for that. And as far as software is concerned, that's an area that India is fairly strong at. We have developed the entire vehicle control software on our own. The IP belongs to us. So that's something where our country will be extremely strong. The biggest challenge actually is going to be in the area of batteries, because cells are not really manufactured in India. We have to depend on imports. But this is also something which is likely to change in the next 1 to 2 years, as many companies are now in the process of setting up plants for cell production, which will mean local supply of cells.
All right, local supply of cells, and that would be a huge booster shot for India, and to counter some of these supply chain issues. Just going down the line, the estimates, I mean, I know you've been giving us numbers as well. While we are looking at the Indian electric vehicle financing market growing, when it comes to financing or lending, though, there seem to be a lot of concerns in terms of, the divide between those who are selling buses and those who finance them. Can you just walk us through what needs to be done on this front?
You're absolutely right. For the EV ecosystem to evolve, we are going to need a mature financing infrastructure. For conventional vehicles, and especially commercial vehicles, almost 100% of vehicles are financed. Now, we can break this into two categories of buyers. First is the government, which to a great extent is one of the major buyers for electric buses, given that the STUs and others are buying these products. In the cases of the government, most of the tenders today are being rolled out on what is called the GCC model, which is where the OEM has not only to give the bus to the State Transport Corporation on a per kilometer basis, but also has to maintain it for a long period of time. For this to be effective, we need the entry of large financial institutions which bring in green capital at lower cost, because none of the automotive companies eventually will have the balance sheets to take this on their own books. Products have to be manufactured normally by one entity and then they are financed by another entity. So for the government, the entry of these institutions is very much needed. For the private sector, where the primary buyers are people who are buying it for either staff transport or somebody is buying it for school buses, this is where the private NBFC market has been extremely strong in India. The challenge there is that most of these are dependent on the resale value of the vehicle. Now, for electric vehicles, this is a completely new paradigm. First and foremost, electric vehicles, the life is at least twice as much as conventional vehicles. But because we don't have a track record or a history of that in India, the finance companies are actually waiting for the data. So it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. And I think for the private sector, it will be very important for them to get involved. It's a large opportunity. And what they will end up finding is that electrical vehicles actually make a lot of sense and are profitable for financing. But this is taking some time.
All right, hopefully those issues should be ironed out soon. But EKA Mobility as well recently had recently announced that collaboration with Shuzlan Energy India, which is an infrastructure provider, charging infrastructure provider. Walk us through what this brings to the table for the company. Are there any more partnerships or deals that the company is looking at?
Yes, absolutely. Our name, as it suggests, EKA, is actually coming together. And this is reflected very much in the ethos and thinking of the company. We really are, as an OEM, need to bring together all the constituent elements. And the charging infrastructure is one of the very important elements. So our partnership with Suzlon, basically what it means is that they will bring the charging infrastructure to bear. It will be available both for our customers to either set up charging stations and equally interestingly, to be able to pay on a per use basis for charging. So I think this is a very important element of the ecosystem, and we are looking for several such partnerships really to create a basis where customers not only get a vehicle, but get a complete solution.
Okay, fair enough. And just walk us through, in terms of for the company itself, has there been any, fundraising that's been done? Is there anything on the anvil that you're looking at?
Yes, we up to now, the company is funded by Pinnacle Industries and VDL, which is the largest electric bus company in Europe. We are the co-owners of the company to this point in time. Now that the vehicles are being rolled out, we are looking to expand our plants, and we are in the process of doing our first external fundraise. This is something we hope to announce in the coming months, but certainly this will be a process, because as we move along, there will be funding needed both for expansion of our plants as also for the SPVs, which are then created to, once we get the tenders from the government, to run and to operate these vehicles on a long-term basis.